What's going on, DGen Nation? Back with another video. About to hop into a Best Ball Mania 4 draft. This is going to be draft 109 of the offseason. Just filled. I'm going to be picking out of the 4 spot. We see the first 2 picks off the board: Jefferson, McCaffrey, Jamar Chase. So pretty standard start there. I'm on the clock at 4. Not many number 4 picks for me, so I will go Tyreek Hill. Pretty low exposed on him. I was leaning Cooper Kupp most of the offseason. With that hamstring injury, I will go Tyreek, and I will lean towards Tyreek, with that being the slight little tiebreaker. Not that I think it's going to be a season-long issue for Kupp. I think that's something that's, he'll sit out in a couple weeks and be back for the start of the regular season, but you never know with these hamstring injuries. They can linger. So the fact that I have more Kupp than Hill, I'll let that be the tiebreaker there. I think I only have one Miami, Baltimore Week 17 stack built out with Tyreek Hill, so that might be another chance here to go down that road. Also, there's been some news. Zeke Elliott signs with the Patriots, Dalvin Cook to the Jets. So I'm going to try and scoop up some of that value with those players dropping in ADP, Breece Hall and Ramondre. I've seen a couple drafts where Ramondre is going now in the late 3rd, early 4th. So to me, he's a smash there. Breece, not as much of a smash, in my opinion, because of the injury and just how long it takes these running backs to really get back up to full speed after the ACL. But we'll see how it plays out here. See if those guys drop, or, some rooms you get in and people aren't really up on the news and things like that. So maybe they just kind of go at their normal range still. So we'll see. If you guys are just signing up for Underdog, if you've never played on Underdog, or you never played Best Ball, you want to get into one of these drafts, if you use my promo code Larry Bird 617, it will give you a deposit match up to $100. So you put in $100, you get another 100 in your account. You'll have 200 in your account. I did it last year. Not sponsored by Underdog, but it's definitely a way for a new player to dip his toe in the water and kind of get used to Best Ball and get some free drafts under your belt. So I went Hill at 4, Kupp at 5, Diggs at 6, Kelsey at 7, Eckler, Bijan, AJ Brown, Amon-Ra St. Brown. The team at the turn goes Chubb and Lamb. Devontae Adams goes there at 14. Seen him kind of slip recently to that 17, 18 range a lot. Don't think that's right. I think that's right where he belongs, is end of the 1st, beginning of the 2nd there. Saquon goes at 15. Pollard, Garrett Wilson, Mahomes goes to the Kelsey team, so pretty chalk there. The team who took Diggs at 6 takes Josh Allen at 19. I'm on deck. Let's see what this team does. They go Olave, so that's a pretty common combination, Kupp and Olave. I wasn't able to scoop up any of that Kupp value when he fell after the injury, so I'm kind of a little disappointed about that. But what I am excited about is Jalen Waddle, with his injury, 3 picks past ADP, able to get that Miami super stack right out of the gate. I think I only have one share of those 2 together. So happy with that. After I went Waddle there at 21, Derrick Henry, Jonathan Taylor. Team at the turn goes Devonta Smith, Jalen Hurts. So definitely some falling value there with Devonta. Couple picks past ADP. Able to pair him with Jalen Hurts there. I really like that start. You've seen a couple of teams with that start, but it doesn't happen often. A lot of times the AJ Brown team will try and pair Brown and Devonta. So they'll take them at 15, a little ahead of ADP, and kind of hope that maybe Jalen Hurts will make it on the swing back at 34, but it usually never happens. I think I got one team with that combination. So I'm on deck again. T. Higgins goes there at 26. Mark Andrews, 27. Mark Andrews definitely would have been a target of mine right there, so that's a little disappointing. tough to grab here a falling Ramondre right at ADP. So what I'm going to do is grab Lamar here. Don't think he'll be back to me. So yes, 7 picks ahead of ADP, but I absolutely love Lamar for this season. And you can get his pieces late. There's some rumblings that Dobbins will be back sooner than later, that they're possibly ironing out some sort of an extension for him to keep him happy. So he's somebody I could grab. Obviously, his 3 starting receivers all kind of go in that late 80s, early 90s. Sometimes Odell will slip a bit back into the low to mid hundreds, but be nice to get Andrews on one of these teams. I did a few times in the big board, but much harder to get here in BestBall Mania. So as you see there, long swing back to me. Don't think Lamar would have lasted until 45. So cool getting the elite quarterback. Already 2 receivers. What I'm hoping here is I can scoop up some of that Ramondre, which he goes right there at 35. So that dream is dead. Hoping he could hoping he'd fall maybe and dip in this run, because I still like him, regardless of the Elliott signing. I think there's a variety of ways you can look at it. I think one of the ways you can look at it is they gave Elliott a decent amount of money. They didn't feel great about their backups to pay him that much money. He's a veteran. Does he come in and it's automatically like a split or even like a 60-40? And I don't think that's the case. I think the way they'll handle it is he may take the Ty Montgomery role, and you don't necessarily look at Zeke Elliott as that kind of a guy, you know, a third down back, a traditional like a James White. But I do think he can be used in that role because he is a very good pass catcher and he's great at pass protection. So I don't think people are identifying that really. They might think, you know, he comes in and takes the early down work and Ramondre becomes the third down back. But I don't think that's the case. I think most of the third down work probably goes to Elliott, or it's a split. And then I think he's mixed in maybe in some goal line packages, which definitely could hurt Ramondre's value. But I think it's way more, I think it's much closer to like a 70-30 or a 65-35 type of split, where Belichick and the Patriots coaching staff knows exactly what Elliott does well, and they play to his strengths, not overusing him. Maybe some short yardage work and maybe some pass protection work, things like that. So I'm not scared off by the signing of Elliott. I think there definitely could have been some worse signing. Like if they signed Dalvin Cook, that would have been much more of a scary proposition for Ramondre, in my opinion. So, dang. And I was hoping Breece Hall made it to me. He's going well past his original ADP now, but he does not make it. So what's the move here? I'll go London. I'll go London pretty much at ADP. I haven't taken him in a while. And I want to get him on. Most of my London shares are on Atlanta builds. So I want to just get a little different here and get him on a team where I'm not going in the Falcons direction. He does make me nervous. I like him as a talent, and I think he performed really well last year in a bad situation on a team that was so run heavy. I think he performed very well. But you bring in an even better running back on a team with a coach who absolutely loves to run the ball. With Kyle Pitts returning at full health, you know, he missed a big chunk of the second half of the season last year. You're bringing in Bijan, who should eat up some targets. So is there enough volume for Drake London to produce, let's say, you know, low end number 1, high end number 2 production? I don't know. It remains to be seen, but Think he's worth a gamble here. I was also considering Justin Fields, and that could actually help me build in a Chicago Atlanta stack. I would have liked to get DJ Moore, and then if Fields made it here on the swing back, that would have been a nice selection. But Hawkinson's a guy I'm very low on as well. Okay, so Fields goes, and I'm looking at Baltimore, Miami. So Dobbins here would be a definite reach. I like the receivers in the second tier just as much as the ones in this tier. So I will go here. TJ Hawkinson, who I don't have much of. He's right at ADP. I think he's a good alternative if you miss out on Andrews in this type of a build. So I'll select him here, and then I'm going to hope Dobbins could get to me at 69. His ADP is 68, so could get sniped. If he does, not the end of the world for me. I'm not the biggest Dobbins fan, to be completely transparent, but see if it makes sense. See if it lines up and he can fall that one pick past ADP and get some good shares of both Miami and Baltimore. Definitely looking at Tua here. Tua is a tough guy to take without either Waddle or Hill. That's pretty much the entire offense. It's either the run game, which is a committee, or it's Hill and Waddle. So if you don't get either of them, it's very tough to get the Tua. There's no tight end that's fantasy relevant on Miami. There's no third receiver that's fantasy relevant. You click Robbie Anderson's name, it's an ugly click. You never feel great about it. So pretty much every share of Tua I have is with either Waddle or Hill. I think I may have done one with like A-Chain and Mostert, but it just never feels great. So and in theory, you should be able to push Tua in a room like this where I have Hill and Waddle. That would be the theory, that you'd be able to do that, but there's rogue drafters all the time. Someone will just take Tua completely unstacked. They're literally just building a team like, oh, I like this guy, I like this guy. No thought to correlation or week 17 or stacking or any of that. So, all right. So Dobbins does go there at 62. And I'm actually fine with that. I wasn't going to take him at 52, certainly. He's going well ahead of ADP there. So I really don't care if I get Dobbins or not. I would like one of the three Ravens receivers, though, for sure. I think I'm going to try and get Bateman and Zay Flowers if I possibly can. Bateman, I think I only have maybe 3 shares of Bateman out of 109 teams. So if he does hit and he does come back healthy after the foot injury, then I don't want to be that low owned on him for sure. And Kenneth Walker goes there at 65. That's an absolute steal to me in the 6th round. I didn't love his ADP in the 40s after the Charbonnet selection. And in the big board, which happened prior to the draft, he was like a 1-2 turn pick sometimes, pretty firmly cemented in the 2nd round. So to see him now go here at 65, and he actually just got some good injury reports as well. So interesting there. So I have so much trouble clicking Miles Sanders, Damian Pierce, even Akers. So I'll go Michael Pittman here as my wide receiver 4. I thought about doing something unique there and maybe grabbing Pitts to go with Hawkinson and getting that double elite tight end. He would tie in with London. I could maybe go Ritter, but I'm looking at Tua here in this draft, so I don't think I need 3 quarterbacks with Tua and Lamar. So I will throw Pitts in the queue, but I'm looking at either Zay. Zay Flowers might be a little too rich for my blood here at this ADP. Certainly nice draft capital in the first round. He's a good player, but if I could get, Bateman 17 picks later, if I can get, where's Odell? Yeah, his ADP is 109 now. For a best ball tournament though, Zay is definitely the guy you want, a rookie who could definitely flash in the second half. And Pitts does go there, so this makes this decision a bit easier. Dotson goes. It's my pick, so I'm on the board. So looking at this board, I have 0 running backs. And a lot of people would say, go Miles Sanders there, get your RB1, Javonte, Montgomery. I think I'd continue to build out this receiving core, make this a 0 RB team. Oh, wow. So is Tua gone? I didn't even see that. I didn't even notice that. That's actually so stupid. He went at 54. I didn't even see that. To a team that already had Josh Allen. These fucking people just drive me nuts. These August drafters. Why? Why would you do that? What sense does that make? You have Josh Allen, who you made a huge investment on at the 2nd overall pick. You grab Gabe Davis ahead of ADP. Okay, you're building out a Bill stack. Why grab Tua in the 5th fucking round? That is just bizarre and stupid to me. I just don't get it. And it makes that me passing on Kyle Pitts all the more frustrating because I could have just grabbed Pitts at 69 there and grabbed Ritter later on. Built out an Atlanta stack, but that's so annoying. What I can pivot to though is I did grab Pittman, grab Anthony Richardson in the next wrap around. He's got some guys later on that I like. I like Alec Pierce. Josh Downs actually looked pretty good in his preseason performance. I didn't know how well he'd fit with Richardson, but he had a nice day, caught a few balls. So my next wrap around, I'm probably going to go best available running back. Any one of these 7 I just queued. And either go Bateman or Richardson. And I could still always grab Odell to have one of the pieces of the Ravens. Oh, I do have Zay as well. So if I don't really get any more of the Ravens passing game, I'm actually okay with it. Could always grab Gus Edwards late as a kind of a 0 RB, just a flyer type of guy, take a shot on him. So Zay Flowers 76, Miles Sanders, DeAndre Swift, Javonte Williams. So that run on running backs did go right there. All of those guys. Sanders, Swift, Javonte, Montgomery, Kamara, James Conner, James Cook, Pacheco. So might look at that Zay Flowers pick in hindsight as a mistake. Was ahead of ADP. Might have forced it a little bit, but both Dalvin Cook and Rachaad White still on the board. I would love to have either of them as my RB1 in a 0 RB build. My boy Charbonnet still hanging around. Khalil Herbert looked great. So, Brian Robinson has a chance to be an RB1. Dylan, I still like the running backs in this range. So Rachaad White does go. I would love Dalvin Cook right here, to be honest with you. I think now that he has a definitive landing spot, we know what he's going to be. He should be on a high-powered offense if everything kind of falls into place for for the Jets. So I'll go Dalvin. I think he's a fantastic value right there in the 90s. Bateman goes immediately after. But it was kind of, I was making that decision there. What I could have done was, instead of going Zay, taking one of those running backs like a Miles Sanders, Swift, Javante, and maybe that would have been the play. And instead of Dalvin right there, taking Bateman. But if I'm choosing between those two, with the way kind of Bateman's foot has responded, already getting cortisone shots and things like that, he relies heavily on his downfield speed. Both were first round picks. So give me the rookie, give me the guy who's healthy, give me the guy with something to prove out there. And I think I'd prefer Flowers. The only thing is you get like a round and a half discount on Bateman when you're comparing the two together in a vacuum. So that's where the value comes in on Bateman, but I'm actually fine with what I did and where I went right there. Did AR go? So no, AR is still on the board. I can't see myself taking Odell Beckham over somebody like Anthony Richardson with the upside that he brings. And Deshaun Watson's just hanging around here. 16 picks past ADP. I'm going to grab Richardson. Be done at quarterback. Won't have to worry about scooping up somebody later, like a Ritter or something like that. Him and Lamar have different bye weeks. And you're talking about two of the 5 or 6 most dynamic runners at the quarterback position in football. So I'm not going to complain about that. I think they have similar skill sets where they both have these rocket arms, but the accuracy can be a bit of a problem at times. But I think Lamar, I think this is going to be his best season since that breakout MVP season. With the change of coordinator, he has really good receivers. Mark Andrews back healthy. They were just riddled by injuries last year. So I think that a big time bounce back is in order for Baltimore on the offensive side of the ball. See if Odell will last. Nope, he goes immediately as soon as I say that. That's fine with me. I would prefer to have Tua on this team just with Hill and Waddle as opposed to Lamar. But who's to say that, Lamar couldn't outscore Tua week 17 if I'm able to advance this team. And, even just with his legs, if he was able to have 100-yard rushing game, or he's able to run one in on the ground, something like that, it's definitely in the cards that Tyreek Hill and Waddle could have a nice game, but Lamar actually outscores Tua. There's many scenarios where that could happen. So I went Dalvin Cook at 93, wrap back around Anthony Richardson at 100. After Richardson, AJ Dillon goes 101. Then Deshaun Watson finally gets selected, almost 20 picks past ADP. Nico Collins, Khalil Herbert, who was somebody I was looking at for sure in this next wrap around, goes at 104. Pat Fryermuth, Odell Beckham, Rashad Penny. Team at the turn out of the 12 spot goes Cortland Sutton and Russell Wilson, 108 and 109. So let's see what that team did. They also got Judy, so nice couple of selections for them there, locking in the 2 main pass catchers on the Denver offense, plus their quarterback. Gino goes 110, Tyler Boyd, Romeo Doubs, Alan Lazard, Zach Charbonnet goes right there at 114. That hurts. Dak and Joku. So I need a running back here. It's pretty much a given. And I'm going to go A chain. Ties in with my Baltimore, Miami, week 17 bet. Is it my favorite RB2? Absolutely not. Absolutely not. And that's kind of where I'm kicking myself here. I think the Zay Flowers pick was a mistake. Should have gone with the running back. I had a feeling that was going to happen. That's that range where the running backs go. A bunch flew off the board after the Zay Flowers selection. So I think that would have been the move. Gone with my favorite running back out of that group, probably either Swift or Javante. And then taking Bateman at that wrap back around at 93. So you don't know how it's going to shake out sometimes. I mean, you get this dummy out of the 6 spot, goes 2 at 54, about 40 picks ahead of ADP. So you get shitheads like that, and you kind of have to adjust. So I like the team. I'm going to be thin at running back. I have an elite tight end, in my opinion. I have 2 for sure elite receivers, and 3 very good ones after that who have elite potential. So Dalvin Cook, to me, now that he's found a landing spot, I think is excellent value at 93. I think he has a significant role in the Jets, especially early in the season. I think he could come out of the gates just on fire now that he's healthy with the shoulder. So I'm going to take Tank Bigsby here. I absolutely love him for this upcoming season at this range. Year after year, we see rookie running backs who some of their best years are their first 2 or 3 seasons in the league. And there's not many positions you can say that about. It's very rare that someone comes in and their best season is their rookie year. But I mean, you look back at like Zeke Elliott and some of these guys who just immediately come in and smash. And running back is one of those rare positions where the younger you are, the better, for sure. And experience doesn't always matter. It's about who has the fresh legs and things like that. So Bigsby, I think, comes in and has an immediate role, and I think that role gets stronger as the season progresses. So I think he's a good 0 RB candidate for sure. I've made a good enough bet here on Miami and Baltimore. So if I'm not able to get any more of their pieces, that makes sense. I'm fine with it. There really aren't many more pieces to get. I could get like a Mostert or a Jeff Wilson, kind of, pick your poison on those 2. And for Miami, there really isn't much else unless you want like I said, Robbie Anderson or Durham Smythe. Those are the kind of fantasy options you're looking at, and they're not really options to me. So my next pivot most likely is to go the Indianapolis route. So that would mean to grab Alec Pierce if he hasn't already gone. In this room, who knows? But I think he's still on the board. Let me see. I'll cue him if he is. I think he is. Yep. 156 ADP. So Pierce for sure. I think Downs I can get in the last round or pretty close to it. Yeah, he's a last round selection. I think he had a nice day in their preseason game. So throw him in the queue. With the Jonathan Taylor stuff going on, Evan Hall is an option. Deion Jackson is an option. I think Jackson played better out of the 2 in the first preseason game. So many Jacksons. Better off putting in Deion. So I'll throw him in the queue. Just looking at this team on paper, and I'll go back to the board here in a second, but done at quarterback. Obviously thin at running back. Dalvin Cook, Devin A-Chain, Tank Bigsby. Receiver stacked, have the elite tight end. So the focus here is running back, but if I like somebody better at receiver than I do at running back, I'm still just going to scoop the value, or same with tight end. I'll take best available if it makes sense, but going to be heavily focused on scooping up some of these running back values. Isaiah Likely too is somebody I could keep an eye on. His value is merely contingent, in my opinion, on Mark Andrews' health. I think you could, have maybe a spike week here or there with Andrews in the lineup, but their receiver core is much improved. Even getting a guy like Aguilar as like a fourth, they have Duvernay as well. So their top 5 are at least professional receivers. The top 3 are good, and the 4 and 5 are at least professional receivers who played in the league. So I think it might be tough for Likely to carve out a role. Wondering here, do I just go Pierce? Yeah, I'm just gonna go Pierce. I don't even care. It's ahead of ADP, but to me, I would take him over any of these guys. I like Mims. Mingo has some, upside potential for the second half, but to me, Alec Pierce is a cut above the rest of these guys in this range. So grab him here, and then whatever running back value I like. I could go Mostert, and I don't know. I could go Mostert and, handcuff him to a chain or vice versa, however you want to look at it. Mostert goes down. You're assuming either a chain or Jeff Wilson really spike in that scenario. Maybe even without a chain going down, Mostert's the veteran. If he's healthy, maybe he's giving you something early in the season, and then the coaching staff recognizes a chain's value and kind of leans more towards him in the second half. So there's a number of scenarios. I definitely do not want to have a dead roster spot. Now that Zeke is on the Patriots too, I think he does have better value than he's being given right here at the 165 ADP. I will go Mostert just for this build. Throw Gus Edwards in the queue too. He's somebody I would want to take a look at. I think he's the perfect type of goal line back for a team like Baltimore. Like Dobbins does the dirty work between the 20s, and then Gus Edwards comes in couple games a year and falls into the end zone. So I like him for that type of a role. I'm pretty much looking at tight end in those last 2 rounds. Tight end is so deep this year that you could find a great tight end in the last round, a second to last round. So like a Hunter Henry, Trey McBride. There's a million guys there. So I think taking a second tight end, unless you're going to do that strategy like I was talking about, like a Kyle Pitts, or you combine Hawkinson with Goddard or something like that. I really don't see the value in taking a guy like a Kmet or Everett, Laporta, any of these guys at the top of the board here to go along with Hawkinson. I'd much prefer the value of a 17th or 18th round tight end. So that's kind of my plan there. I will take Zeke, I think, if he comes back around. Been taking a ton of Devin Singletary, and I view Singletary and Zeke in a very similar type of range, but Zeke does go there. I was considering him over Mostert, but I think that you're kind of looking at a similar type player there as well. An older veteran, a lot of experience, looking for at best a split, a timeshare type situation. So I think Mostert makes a little more sense on this build. Zamir White definitely getting some steam. Let me go back to the board here, just to let you guys see these last few rounds here. So I went Anthony Richardson 100. The next wrap back around, I went Devin A-Chain 117, or Devon A-Chain. Tank Bigsby 124. Alec Pierce 141 to tie in with Richardson, and then Mostert to kind of throw a dart here at this pretty thin backfield. Even for a 0 RB team, this running back committee here is pretty thin for me. Would prefer to at least have one more guy I would consider like RB, low end RB1, high end RB2 potential, but it's not the way it shook out. And if I could change a couple of things, I would. The most frustrating part was the Tua getting picked in the 50s on a team where I have Hill and Waddle. Sometimes people just do that just to spite you. They see that you got the combination of Hill and Waddle. If they're not an experienced drafter, they say, "Oh, I'm going to screw this guy over. Let me take Tua here in the 5th round." It's what he's really doing is just screwing himself over. Like I said, there's still a path for Lamar to outscore Tua in that Week 17 game, and if that's the case, I'm still in the money. I still have a clear path there with both my top 2 receivers going off, plus my quarterback doing it with his legs on the ground. So fine with that. So much of these 3 guys here at the top of the board, and it's just like it's a gross click for me now to go Roshan. I have like 20% Roshan, 20% Singletary. No, screw it. I think the best player here is Taysom Hill. The guy's put up tight end. He put up tight end 1 numbers last year. He was a top 5 tight end. Even if you look at the year before, last year he had 142 points. The year before that, 124. So 124 probably put him in the low end number 1 in a 12-team league, or maybe high end number 2, like tight end 12, 13, 14, something in that range. So it's clear that Dennis Allen knows how to use him just as well as Sean Payton did. So I'll take the bet on him there. May go likely as my 3rd tight end if I don't really like what's going on. I have 6 really solid receivers that I like, so I might only grab 1 more. I've done a quarterback, so 4 more picks, 3 more picks after this next one coming up here. The Ravens did grab Melvin Gordon as well. And you might think Melvin Gordon has no value, but Harbaugh is a weird coach like that. He'll mix in multiple guys. So this is right around Edwards' ADP. Might be better suited, going with a guy like Samir White, a young guy with upside. If Jacobs didn't play, he's definitely a smash. But I'll go Edwards here. So I have Lamar, Gus Edwards, Zay Flowers. Looking at Isaiah likely around that last round. So, and one of those 2 Colts running backs as well. I think I'm leaning Deion Jackson possibly, because you can see last year he did have a role. Yards per carry on the ground, not great. Just quick math, that looks like under 4 yards per carry. But did catch 30 balls, 200 yards and a touchdown receiving. So that's actually really nice. Yeah, and Evan Hull. I mean, it was a really good pass catcher in college too. So I don't know. Maybe a team where I could take both and just take a flyer. Don't want to have a dead roster spot, and it gets sticky when you get into that type of situation where you're taking 2 backups. Both could just be non-factors, and then on top of it, if they work things out and Taylor comes back, now you for sure have at least one dead roster spot with one of those running backs. So I think if I take one, I have to make the decision on who I want. Right now, I would lean Jackson, but let me see if I could pull something up that's gives me a lean maybe in either direction. kicking myself a bit here for that Zay Flowers selection for sure. So hard to go off one preseason game, obviously, when you're making that assessment. I think Evan Hull got the start, but was pretty ineffective on the ground. But Jackson came in, averaged almost 6 yards per carry in the touches he got, but wasn't involved at all in the passing game. And then Hall was involved in the passing game, which is, from what I read, his forte. So he caught 2 balls for 18 yards. So tough to decipher, I guess. If you're gonna have to make an educated guess, you would say maybe Deion Jackson's the early down back, and Evan Hull mixes in on third down. But I don't know if it's a situation I want to get myself involved in here. Um, Too early to take any of the guys I have in the queue. I think I might go Downs on the next wrap around if he's there. But for right now, I'm gonna go Ty Chandler. Don't have many shares of him. Played well in that preseason game. Still not convinced that Alexander Madison's the guy. It's easy to look great when you're just coming in and spelling the starter for a week here, a week there, and he did, he played really well. You have to give it to him. He made the most of his opportunities when his opportunities were there, but don't know if he does it for a full season. I guess that's my point. Don't know if he's a workhorse 17-week running back, so maybe Ty Chandler has some value. I'm gonna go Likely here. It does have the same bye week as Hawkinson, which I don't love, but did grab Taysom Hill there. Knew for sure this was going to be a 2 quarterback team, so cool taking the third tight end there. I might have, in hindsight, I maybe should have just stayed with the 2 because I do need at least one more running back. So pretty locked in here to taking a running back with my next selection. Don't love leaving myself with 6 receivers, especially I got 3 week 11 buys. That makes it even tougher to take downs because I'm pretty much relying on everybody being healthy. So I might have to mix it in with the receiver here that doesn't have either a week 10 or a week 11 bye. Get a little bit different and pass on Josh Downs, who I do like. And he would make sense here, but overextended myself a little bit on the bye weeks. Just want to check real quick what Downs did in his first preseason game. I looked at the box score briefly the other day and looked like he had a few catches. So let me see. Uh yeah, 2 targets, 2 catches, 29 yards. He was a monster in college. I mean, his stats are staggering. Did play on North Carolina, so wasn't like an SEC school or anything, but the dude was, I think he put up 100 catch season and 1,000 yards. So maybe I just say screw it on the bye weeks. I mean, the way I look at it here is week 11. Obviously, Zay has the same bye week as Alec Pierce and Pittman. So week 11, I'm missing Drake London, Michael Pittman, Alec Pierce, and Josh Downs. So I'm looking at Zay Flowers, Jalen Waddle, Tyreek Hill. That's great on paper, but if they have a bad week, if Miami has a bad week, then you're talking about an entire week where I'm getting, bad production from my 3 starting receivers. And then on top of it, if one of them's injured, now you're for sure starting 2. So that you need to factor in. Also, if you only have the opportunity to start 3, there's no chance that a receiver spikes into your flex spot either, So I don't know. I think the likely pick was a mistake. A couple mistakes here by me, a couple rookie mistakes. I got tilted by that Tua selection for sure. And is this running back room good enough? To me, it looks pretty gross, but that could all change with a guy like Bigsby or a guy like A-Chain. So sometimes looks scary on paper with the rookies, but Downs makes so much sense, but I think I pivot here. Go with the veteran like a Corey Davis. I might hate that in hindsight if Downs ends up being a nasty slot receiver right out of the gate. I could really, really regret that. But to me, the Jets receiving core is thin outside of Garrett Wilson. Hardman's a speedster, fills a specific role. Lazard, he has a comfort level built in with him. But aside from that, what do they really have? You're talking about a 35, 36-year-old Randall Cobb. So Corey Davis still younger than people would think. I believe he's 28. So he could have a sneaky role. Just break down my last few picks here. This draft flew by. Taysom Hill, 165. Gus Edwards, 172. Ty Chandler, 189. Isaiah Likely, 196. And Corey Davis, 213. So at least Josh Downs, he goes undrafted here. So in this 12-man pod, at least he can't come back to burn me on another team. That's a positive, I suppose. So I ended up with a 2-6-7-3. That's a very standard build. At quarterback, I got Lamar Jackson, Anthony Richardson. All the rushing upside in the world you could ever want out of those 2. At running back, Dalvin Cook, who, maybe might be scary as an RB1 to some people. To me, I love it. I love it in the 90s. I think that's tremendous. I think he smashes that ADP. I think you get an 8 to 10 touchdown season incoming for Dalvin Cook. I think he hits the 1,000-yard threshold. I could see a scenario where him and Brees either both have 1,000 yards or both get double-digit touchdowns. That a lot of that's dependent on the Jets' offensive line, obviously, but I think the touchdown thing might be more likely because of the way the Jets could move the ball through the air, have a lot more goal line opportunities than they did, and probably going to be more of a run-heavy team than Minnesota was last year. So maybe some increased red zone opportunities. And if Brees isn't right or he goes down, I mean, look out, Dalvin Cook for sure could be a top 5-6 guy again. So got the rookies there in A-Chain and Bigsby. A-Chain looked good in his game, caught a preseason game, caught a couple balls. Maybe he's their, locked in third down gadget type of back, which will be a nice role there on Miami. Mostert, someone's got to be running the ball there in Miami. So it's either going to be him or Wilson. he looked good last year. He stayed healthy. He is a bit older, but willing to take the flyer on him there. And if he does go down, I think that only spells good things for A-Chain. So Gus Edwards just mainly ties in with the Baltimore build, Baltimore, Miami. He's back, pretty much had a full year and a half to recover. As a guy who does run hard and does have some value around the goal line, in my opinion. I think he takes that role, if anybody does, ahead of Dobbins, ahead of Melvin Gordon, or any of the other, Justice Hill, any of those backs. So fine with Edwards there. Don't love him, don't hate him. He's a whatever. Ty Chandler, just a simple dart throw. Making the bet that Madison is not the guy. Receiver room is stacked. Tyreek Hill, Jalen Waddle, Drake London, Michael Pittman, Zay Flowers, Alec Pierce, and then just getting different there with my last receiver, Corey Davis. Maybe Rodgers could resurrect his career a little bit, hopefully. And that tight end, Hawkinson, Taysom Hill, Isaiah Likely. So strong tight ends, extremely strong receiving core, weak running back room, and strong at quarterback. So you're not going to be balanced across all positions in every draft. So sacrifice running back a bit here to build out that 0 RB team, and we'll see how it plays out. If it works out, we'll come back and revisit this. But I appreciate you guys tuning in today. If you like what I'm doing, I really appreciate it if you could drop a like, drop a comment, and hit that notification. You know, that really shows me that you like what's going on here, that you are a fan of the channel, you're a fan of what I'm doing, and you appreciate the content. So subscribing and hitting that notification bell, both things that mean a lot to me, and appreciate every viewer and every fan that I have. So that's going to do it for today's video. Look forward to talking to you guys soon. DGen Nation out.